people very often ask me, well, whatever happened to artificial intelligence? And it reminds me of people that go into the rainforest and say, well, where are the species that are supposed to be here when there's 25 species of ants within 50 feet of them, but they don't see them because they're hidden in the ecostructure? Well, artificial intelligence is hidden in our economic infrastructure. It's all around us. We just don't see it. Every time you send an email or connect a cell phone call, intelligent algorithms route the information. Intelligent algorithms help design products using computer-assisted design, help control inventory levels with just-in-time inventory systems, help build products in computerized factories, help guide intelligent weapon systems, fly and land airplanes, make billions of dollars a day of automated financial transactions, detect credit card fraud. I could mention hundreds of examples of AI, and if all of these examples stopped tomorrow, our whole economy would grind to a halt. You couldn't get money from your bank, transportation would stop, communications would stop. That was not the case 25 years ago, and these systems, the narrowness of the AI is gradually getting broader and broader, and within a quarter of a century, by 2029, and I've actually been consistent on that date, we will have the hardware and software to simulate the full range of human intelligence. But it's not going to be a competition of intelligent machines coming from over the horizon to compete with us. It's going to make ourselves more intelligent. It's going to extend our physical and mental reach. That has basically been the point of our technology since we've had technology. The very first tools allowed us to extend our physical reach. And now we can take a device out of our pocket and with a few keystrokes access all of human knowledge. That's extending our mental reach. And we do intellectual feats every day that would be impossible without our technology. And the technology is going to ultimately embody our own intelligence. It already embodies our own knowledge. It ultimately will embody and extend human intelligence. All of this is driving economic growth. I don't want to dwell on this, but we've gone from $30 to $130 in constant dollars over the last 45 years in the average value of an hour of human labor across the world. The adoption of these technologies is exponential. This is e-commerce. It's $2 trillion today. It's growing exponentially. It will soon be the biggest nation in the world if it were a nation, but it actually doesn't respect national boundaries. And you might say, now wait a second, wasn't there a boom and a bust in these dot-coms somewhere around the year 2000? How come we don't see that? That was a Wall Street phenomenon. That was a investment community phenomenon, not a Main Street phenomenon. The internet was growing exponentially, and the investment community said, wow, in the 1990s, this is going to change everything. This is going to take every business model and turn it on its head. And that was true, but it's not going to do that instantly. If you remember my internet graph, it was growing exponentially, but it was a decade before it really made a difference. At first, it was just doubling these little numbers. So the investment community came back around the year 2000 and said, gee, it hasn't changed everything. I guess we were wrong, and all the values went the other way. But this boom-bust psychology actually was an accurate harbinger of what ultimately was a true revolution, and it's $2 trillion today, and you can argue whether Google's 37-to-1 price-to-earnings ratio is high or low, but it's not 10,000-to-1 like we had in the 1990s. So let me show you one more example of a technology that we developed. We created the first large vocabulary speech recognition in the 1980s, and we created the first text-to-speech synthesis in the 1970s. Those have been in continuous development since. The company now is called Nuance, which used to be Kurzweil Computer Products. So we took those two technologies, combined them with language translation, created a translating telephone. So you'll be able to take your cell phone and talk to people in other languages, and I've actually done this. I talked to this woman in Germany. She didn't speak English. I talked English. She heard me in German, and vice versa. And this will be a routine service of your cell phone within a few years. This is a demonstration, comma.
Dies ist eine Demonstration
Of a prototype of a quote translating end quote telephone. Period.
von einem Prototyp eines übersetzenden Telefons.
Within a few years, comma,
Innerhalb einiger Jahre
we will be able to talk to anyone, comma,
Wir werden fähig sein, zu jemandem zu reden.
regardless of their language. Period.
Ohne Rücksicht auf ihre Sprache.
The rain in Spain, comma,
La pluie en Espagne.
stays mainly in the plain. Period.
Reste dans la plaine principalement.
Merci pour votre attention. Period.
Thank you for your attention.
So let me sum up what we'll see from all this exponential growth. But my point is that the exponential growth is highly predictable, and you can apply these predictions in making your own plans. But we can also look ahead 10 or 20 years, as I've actually been doing for 30 years. And exponential growth is explosive, and it ultimately will transform everything we care about. Even energy. I just got done with the National Academy of Engineering committee, along with Larry Page of Google, and we created a plan to replace fossil fuels with solar panels within 20 years. We have 10,000 times more sunlight than we need to do that. And again, it's easy to dismiss solar energy. It's less than 1% of our energy today, not very important. But it's growing exponentially. It's doubling every 2 years, and we're only 7 doublings away from meeting 100% of our energy needs. And we only have to capture 1 part in 10,000 of the sunlight. And there's a new generation of nano-engineered solar panels coming out. And the tipping point, where the cost per watt from solar energy will be less than the cost per watt from oil or coal, is only 5 years away. So it's important to look at the exponential. Early in the next decade, computers will disappear. They're already very tiny. They'll be woven in our clothing. Ian mentioned putting them in our eyeglasses and contact lenses, and that's coming, and there are actually prototypes of this that I've used, so that you can have tiny devices. In fact, they'll be built in your belt buckle, and you'll be online all the time, and you'll have augmented real reality and virtual reality. So as you look at somebody, there'll be pop-ups telling you who they are and giving you background about them. There'll be real-time language translation. Search engines won't wait to be asked. They'll be listening into your conversations. They see you getting stuck with something, they'll just pop up some useful information. They'll be like an assistant that can help you. And they'll be gaining facility with natural language at an increasingly sophisticated level. When we get out to 2029, we'll have almost a billion-fold increase in the power of these technologies, 100,000-fold shrinking in size. We will have intelligent nanobots in our body, keeping us healthy from inside, going inside our brain through the capillaries, interacting with our biological neurons. There are already early experiments along these lines. If you think putting a computer in your brain is futuristic, there are cyborgs walking around. If you have Parkinson's disease, you can have a pea-sized computer put in your brain today that actually replaces the biological neurons destroyed by the disease. And the latest generation of this neural implant, which is actually approved medical therapy, allows you to download new software to the computer inside your brain from outside the patient. That's something you can't do with your biological neurons. That's today. So you take a pea-sized computer today, shrink it by 100,000, which is what will happen over the next 20 years or so, and you'll get blood cell-sized computers that are far more powerful. And this will, for example, provide full virtual reality from within the nervous system. If you want to go in virtual reality, the nanobots shut down the signals coming from your real senses and replace them with the signals that your brain would be receiving if it were in the virtual environment. We're going to be spending more and more of our time in increasingly realistic virtual reality environments.